everyone, this is Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video is a special request. I wrote this pattern quite a few years ago and I had sort of forgot about it, and a friend of mine asked me if I was going to do a video on my Lucky Charms coasters. Well, I wasn't sure what she meant by that, and then after we talked for a while I realized she was talking about my Lucky Leprechaun coaster. So I'm going to show you how to make my Lucky Leprechaun coaster today. This is a free crochet pattern on my blog, and you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. What you will need to make my Silly and Lucky Leprechaun coaster is some white or a beige or flesh color yarn you would like to use for the face of your leprechaun. Then you need some orange for the beard and some green for the hat. And then you'll need just a tiny amount of black and yellow. Now I'm using worsted weight number 4 yarn. These are all Red Heart Super Savers leftover yarns that are worsted weight number 4. Because I'm not going to be putting anything that's going to sweat on my coasters. If you prefer, you can make these also out of cotton. You can use a medium 4, which is like I Love This Cotton, or Peaches, or Sugar and Cream, or any of the cotton yarns that are a medium number 4. It works just fine with those yarns as well. We're going to be stitching today with our H hook, which is a 5.00 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a needle for weaving in ends, of course, and you'll also need a pair of scissors. The coaster measures about 4.5 inches across and about 5 inches tall, so it's a nice, good size coaster. We're going to begin with the center. We're going to make our slip knot and chain 5. We're going to make this chain 5 into a circle. We take the tail of our yarn and put it over our hook and pull it through that loop. Snug that down, and then we just make a little stay knot so it will stay put. If you prefer the magic circle for this portion of the video, that's fine. I just prefer this method for me. Alright, we're going to put our hook through, pull up a loop, and chain 3. This chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. And now we're going to stitch 9 more double crochets, so we have a total of 10. So we'll put our hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. That's how we do our double crochet. Another thing you'll notice is I'm stitching over my tail of yarn, and that just makes it so that if I have a hole in the center, I can close it, and I'll show you that as well. Alright, so I've got 2. I need to make 8 more so I can have 10 double crochets. Make sure we don't grab that tail of yarn and pull it through. We want to stitch over it. Alright, let's see how many I have. Here's my chain 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Need to do 2 more. There's 9 and 10. 10 double crochets. Now I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Now you'll notice I do have a little bit of a hole. So I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to gently pull on that loop, or that string, not loop. There we go. And see how it closes up that hole? And then I can come back in with my needle and weave that in later. So there's our row 1. Alright, let's do row 2. We've chained 3, so our first double crochet is our chain 3. We're going to place 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. Then we're going to place 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. We started with 10 on our first row, and so for row 2 we'll have 20 double crochets because we're placing 2 in each stitch. Two double crochets in each of the double crochets around, and then we'll join to the top of our chain 3. I've stitched my 20 double crochets, joined to the top of my chain 3, and chained 3. For row 3, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to have more stitches. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, so we're going to double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. And then again, we're going to place 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. And that's going to give us 40 double crochets because we're stitching 2 double crochets in each of the 20. And we'll work our way around till we reach back to that chain 3. So 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around, and then we'll join to our chain 3. For row 3, we should have 40 double crochets. We're going to join to the top of our chain 3, but we're not going to chain 3. We're going to go ahead and cut our yarn. And we're going to bring in our green. We're going to do the hat next. So what we're going to do is bring the green in, snug that down, and I like to do a little chain 1 just to get it up on top of where I want it to be. We're going to place 1 single crochet in the next 9 stitches. So we're going to go right in that next stitch and stitch a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We're forming the hat. That's why we pulled in the green. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And the chain 1 does not count as a stitch. It's just a turning chain. There we go. And then we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 9 single crochets. So we'll go right in the first one and stitch 1 single crochet in each of the 9 single crochets. And chain 1. And so you can see we formed the bottom of the hat. Alright, so now we're going to slip stitch in the first 2 single crochets. So we'll go in, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop through the loop on our hook. And we'll do the same thing in the next one, because that's the edge of our hat. Alright, and now we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches. We're going to leave these last 2 unworked because those are the 2 edges of the hat brim. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in those 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And there's our little hat. Alright, so we're going to cut our yarn and tie off. Now remember, this is the back of your work, so you want to make sure all your strings that need to be woven in or tidied up, however you want to call that, need to stay on the back side so that when you turn it over, it's nice and neat. I'm going to go ahead and take my needle and just make sure this one's to the back. And just bring that in through those stitches like that. And then I'll come back in and weave it in better later. I just don't want any of that showing on the front of my coaster. Now we're going to join the orange yarn for the beard. We're going to go right in this stitch where the hat started. We're going to bring in our orange yarn and make a little chain 1. We're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and stitch 2 double crochets in the next. And chain 1. Skip the next stitch and single crochet in the next. And chain 1. Then we'll skip the next and stitch 2 double crochets in the next. And this is the way that we'll work all the way around to make our beard. Single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, 2 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, 2 double crochets. And this little sort of miniature shell stitch is what gives our coaster that bumpy look so that it looks a little bit like an Irish curly beard. Chain 1, skip 1, 2 double crochets. There we go. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And we'll continue working this till we reach right back up here to this side of the hat. When you get all the way back around, you'll have your 2 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1, and then you'll end the same stitch where the hat started. We'll cut our yarn. And again, we'll need to tie off to the back of our coaster. All right, so we'll take a minute and weave these ends in, but this is the way that the beard should look. Next, we're going to do the details on the hat. We're going to make that little black band, and then we'll use this yellow to make the little buckle. So what you're going to do is right here on this row, come up from the back, leave a tail, there we go, and we're just going to stitch straight across, just making stitches like this. So there's your hat band. Just going to bring that to the back so I can weave that in. All right. Then we're going to take the yellow yarn and make the little buckle, and it's super easy. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches, so we're going to go on this 5th stitch, and we're just going to go right above that stitch, and then right below it. There we go. And be careful not to pull it too tightly or you'll lose your stitch down inside, okay? And then we'll come back up here and put the ends on our buckle. Now it looks like the little buckle on their hat. The stitch on the face, the first thing I'm going to do is add the smile. And I'm going to follow this line right here between row 3, I guess that's row 2 and row 3. This line right here. So I'm going to come up about right there. Depends on how big a smile you want to put on your leprechaun. All right. I'm going to leave a string in the back to weave in. And then I'm just going to make stitches going in and out, being careful not to pull too tightly to make the smile. You can see I'm just going in and out each stitch, working around that circle, that line in between row 2 and row 3. I'll look at it, make sure it's even. Looks like I need to go up one more stitch. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and add the line on this side, and I'll come back and get the other one with that tail of yarn. Alright, when you're adding the little line, make sure you don't go right in the hole, but go through a stitch or you'll lose it inside those stitches. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and thread this short one back on, because I'm going to make the little line on the mouth with this one. So leave yourself a little bit of yarn there for that. Alright, so I'm going to go up there and come back down there. Alright, so now my little leprechaun has a smile. I'm going to put this yarn back on. And I'm going to go to the center. And I'm going to add a little nose. It looks kind of like an L. We're going to go straight across but up just a smidge. And then I'm going to go up above. And it depends on how big you want to make your nose and how L-shaped. It's mostly just like a V on its side. Alright, so there's his little nose. Some of them I pointed up, some down, some sideways. It doesn't matter. And it's up to you how you want to do it. Alright, so now we're just going to make the little eyes. And I come up here. This is the center circle on the top of that center circle. And I just make little lines. And I'll do this twice. I'll go like this for one eye. And then I'll go over a little. And it's up to you, again, how close you want to put your eyes together. I've made some that were shaped where they were a little too close and he looked a little bit too ornery. But you know, little elves can be pretty ornery if you're messing with their pot of gold, right? Alright, so their eyes are just made with two little lines. You can use buttons and other things for their face, but remember, this is where your cup's going to sit. And if you put a button, it's going to make it rock a little and it might knock it over. Alright? So now I need to take a few minutes and finish weaving in all the black threads that I made. I'm going to bring that one back to the center. To make the little bow tie, I cut 2 strands of yarn that are about 18 inches long. It's way longer than I need, but I want to make sure I've got enough to tie a nice bow. And I'm doing it 2 thicknesses. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find the center, and I want the bow tie to be in through the white portion so it stays put, the center face portion. I'm going to hook those 2 strands over my hook and pull it through, but only pull one through, or one side through. You still have 2 strands, just one side. Alright, then I take them, even them out, and I'll tie a knot first, and that's just going to keep it in place. And then I do what's called the 2 bunny ear bow. I wrap it over my fingers and then just cross it and tie a bow. I like to do that style just because I think it lays pretty. And it's up to you how big a bow tie you want to do. I like to bring it down. Then I'll give it a nice tug and make sure it's going to stay put till I like it where it's at. and then I'll give it a trim. Now, if you're a little concerned that that bow tie won't hold, you can also put just a dab of fabric glue or fray check there, and that'll keep that bow from coming undone. But this is our Lucky Shamrock coaster. It's a nice big size for any size cup you want to put on it.